Hey everybody. I had to get on a minute because I got something that's important and I feel like I need to talk about. And it's about the Wi-Fi. Now I didn't say anything about this because I honestly thought it was just me because I'm a hypersensitive person and because I have Morgellons. I thought it's just me. It was just something that was going on within me. But now that some other people have come out and said that it's happened to them, I feel like it's something that I need to share with everybody. Um, because if I feel like it's just an isolated case or it's not the case, it's not widespread, then it's not something that everybody needs to worry about. But when it starts happening to more people, like with Morgellons, then it's important to put the information out there. If for no other reason, just to give people a heads up, and so even if they're not affected by it, they could still be aware of it, and they could take precautions against it. So, what I want to talk about is before the lockdown. Okay, before the thing with the COVID-19 and all that, and the lockdown and everything, we had some. I had Wi-Fi in my home, and I've had Wi-Fi for I don't even know how long, 20 years, and I've never had any problems with it. But we had a string of tornadoes that came through the area. I think it was in January this year or February. But we had a whole string of tornadoes, just multiple tornadoes come through this area. And it knocked down the power lines, and it knocked down the cable lines, and it knocked down, it damaged a lot of roofs in some people's houses. Mine was okay. I just had a lot of limbs in the yard. But anyway, after that happened, they came out, and the power company came out and took reinstalled the power and all that. But then the internet was down for like 2 weeks, and I know I didn't call them right away because I thought, well, they're busy, getting the power lines up, so I didn't want to. I didn't want to bother them. But then after 2 weeks, I called them. I said, well, the internet's still down. And so they sent a technician out here, and the technician came out, and they put it looks like they ran a new cable, Comcast cable. I mean, it could be the same one, but it looks like it's for the time that it took them to run it, because they ran it from my house and then all the way down the street. It looks like they just put in new cables, and they're bigger and they're lower. They hang lower and they're bigger. Okay. So they spent all day here in the neighborhood putting in new cables, and then then the next day they sent out a technician who put in a new Xfinity box on my power pole. Now I didn't know why I needed a new Xfinity box, and I asked him. I said, "Why do I need a new box? I mean, what's wrong with the one I had?" And he said, "There's an upgrade. They were doing an upgrade." So I didn't say anything about it. Didn't say anything at the time. I didn't think anything about it at the time. But about a week after that, when I left, and about a week after that, I started having some strange symptoms. I started having bad headaches, and I started having dizzy spells, and just chronic fatigue. I mean, I feel like I felt so weak. My body was so weak. I felt like I was just going to just collapse. It's like I couldn't get through my day. And I thought, what in the world's going on? This is not normal for me. And then another week went by, and I developed chest pains and fluid in my lungs. I developed pleurisy, and I had like chest pains, and like sometimes it was hard to get air. It's hard to breathe. And so I thought, well, something's up. Okay, keep in mind this was before COVID. Now this was before the lockdown. So, and then I noticed that I had my internet modem in my bedroom. So that's where I did most of my work on the internet. So I had it in my bedroom, and I noticed that every time I'd get close to it, I would I would start feeling the symptoms. I would start feeling the headaches and the dizziness, and I immediately I connected it with the modem. I said, now look, I have never had trouble with this modem before, but all of a sudden it's making me sick. So I took the modem and I moved it to the back part of the house, all the way to the end of the house, and my symptoms got better. The headaches got better, the dizziness got better, and the chest pain, all that got better. It kind of lifted, but I was still feeling like weird sensations in the body. I was still feeling I was still feeling weak, and I was still feeling exhausted, and something still was not right. So what I thought was, well, all of a sudden, overnight, I had just developed a hypersensitivity to my Wi-Fi. You hear about people doing that. They can go their whole lives and just all of a sudden develop a hypersensitivity to the EMFs around them. So I thought, that's what I've done. I have developed a hypersensitivity to my Wi-Fi, and I linked it with the Morgellons, which of course, that's part of it. So what I decided to do was I was going to get rid of my Wi-Fi and just go back to wired internet. Go back to the internet that we used to have, when it was wired. So I had my Wi-Fi disconnected. Okay, after I had the Wi-Fi disconnected, I literally started getting better. I mean, all of the symptoms that I was having went away. And I started feeling better. I started getting my energy back, and things started getting back to normal. And so, like I said, at that time, I just thought it was just me. But now, and I really didn't, even in March, when they started the lockdown, I really didn't link it with that then, but now I am. So I'm thinking, that this so-called COVID thing may have started way back then, or may have been going on for a long time before they actually locked us down. But now, I know recently I've talked to some of my neighbors, and they're telling me that some of the people who have had their Wi-Fi or their internet upgraded, in other words, they said their internet started getting real slow and sluggish, and they called Comcast, and they came out and they put the new Xfinity box on their PO, and they did some upgrades to the system. And then they said and then I know one lady said every time she'd go in this room, or her router was, she'd start getting sick. Okay, and then another guy said the same thing. So it's something about the upgrade that Comcast cable has in their system that is making people sick. So now I'm starting to think, now I'm linking it back to David Icke when he first came out with a video about 5G being the source behind the COVID-19 and all this. And they removed all of his videos. After he did that video, they removed them. They banned his videos about 5G and the coronavirus. So, which is an indication that he was hitting on the truth. So now, that I'm seeing more people coming down with the same symptoms that I had, and the doctors are calling it the virus. Now I already kind of had an idea. I already was in line with David Icke on the 5G thing, but I wasn't aware that the Wi-Fi, the upgrade to the Wi-Fi had the 5G broadband in it. Well, I found out after I had it disconnected that the 5G broadband was in the new Xfinity boxes, the little tube and little cable wires you see when you open the box. You see the the chips for the 5G broadband were inside those boxes. Of course, you can't see the chips because they're inside of the equipment. But I found out later that the chips were inserted inside the new Xfinity boxes, and also the cables, the Comcast cable lines that they put in your yard, that they run through your yard, are the broadband cables. So I was actually getting the 5G gigahertz coming through my house, and it's all connected to the power companies because they connect the box, or the cable, the Comcast cable that they run through your yard is connected to your pole where your transformer is, and then of course it's fed to your home, okay, and then the smart meter on your at your meter box is what feeds the energy through the wiring inside your home. So we had the Comcast cable connected to the transformer, which was connected to the house. Then we had the Xfinity box, the upgrade Xfinity box connected to the pole or the smart meter on the pole. So this is how they were sending this 5G broadband into the home using the cable and the Xfinity box and the smart meter. So actually my whole home was being bathed with the EMF frequency, the radiation from the 5G, okay? And also at that time I was having a lot of allergies, you know, where my nose would run all the time, and I was always sneezing, and I couldn't seem, I was like I always had a sinus infection or a head cold, and I thought, yeah, this is crazy. But there was also that I noticed a smog. There was a thick smog that would just saturated the whole house. It would be in every room. And for a long time, you know, I didn't really think much about it, but then when I realized, one day it hit me, this is not normal. And there was a smell to it. There's like a dirty electricity. It smelled like dirty electricity. And and then I just started putting things together, and when I realized that this smog and this smell was in fact the radiation, or the which is what dirty electricity is. It's a radiation that is caused from the 5G, or the electromagnetic frequencies running through my home, running through the wiring inside my home and coming out through my electronic devices. But I also found out later that you don't even have to have your devices on, because it can radiate out through the wiring inside your home, and then just fill your whole home with this radiation smog. Okay, so that's when I started trying to find ways to eliminate the smog. I mean, even after they removed the Wi-Fi, this was still happening. I was still having the smog, and I still have it sometimes. But I've learned how to monitor, you know, when they turn up the smart meters, and how I've been trying to monitor when I see the smog, when I smell the smog, and when I start getting my headaches and all, and try to figure out when it is that they start turning, because they start turning up the gigahertz in my home and making me sick. So I've kind of got it down to where I know immediately when they turn it up. So it's not just the Wi-Fi, folks. Okay, the Wi-Fi, to me, I see the Wi-Fi as just a booster. Like, in other words, we're already getting the EMFs from the smart meters and from our electronics in our home and from our wire. We're already getting that. But I think that the upgrade to the 5G broadband and the Xfinity boxes that they put in when they did the upgrade was like a booster. And it like boosted it up, or intensified it, pushed it through, pushed it into a higher intensity, pushed the radiation through the wiring inside the homes and through the devices. And so even though when I had my Wi-Fi removed, my symptoms got better, there was still the fatigue and the other symptoms. So, and look, this is what David Icke was saying. So I'm taking this from him, but it's actually happening. Okay, it's happened to me, And like I said, I didn't say anything for a long time because I thought it was just happening to me. But now that I see it happening to more people, I feel like I need to say something about it because it can warn people about what may be going on inside their home. So, and David Icke warned us about this. I watched all his videos, and even after I watched them and had already gotten a heads up from him still, I didn't link it with the Wi-Fi because I'd had Wi-Fi forever, and so I didn't think, that it was that. Until they did the upgrade, and then I figured it out. But I no longer have Wi-Fi in my home. I'm working on getting wired internet. But now, I'll tell you what, I'm really kind of scared to get wired internet because even though I'm still getting the EMFs through the wiring inside my home, getting more devices, and more wires. I don't know if it's safe. But anyway, I wanted to make this video because there may be some other people out there who are having some of these symptoms. There may be some other people who have had an upgrade to their internet or their cable boxes, because cable's involved too, your TV's involved too. Or they may have some kind of upgrade going on in your home, and you might all of a sudden have started getting sick since you had an upgrade, or you might have developed a hypersensitivity to the electronic devices in your home and you don't know why. This is what they're doing, folks. They're using the cable companies and the power companies to intensify the EMF radiation inside the homes. And so there's not a doubt in my mind, this is what the COVID thing is. They're calling it a virus, and I guess maybe it is a virus, but it's caused from the 5G broadband, from the upgrade to the system. So, if you're a person who has always had Wi-Fi in your home and you've never had an issue with it, and then all of a sudden you develop an issue with your Wi-Fi, or you start getting sick, you start having symptoms, you start getting sick, then you might want to consider removing your Wi-Fi and going back to wired internet, or you may want to just consider getting rid of everything. I don't know, like I said, you don't necessarily have to have an upgrade for this to happen, because even when the Wi-Fi was removed, when my Wi-Fi was removed, I was still having the symptoms from the smart meter, from the radiation that was being pulsed through the smart meter and into the wiring inside the home. And I still have it. I still have days when I'll wake up and there'll be a thick smog in the house, or I'll have bad headaches. And so that proves it's not just linked to the Wi-Fi. It's linked to the frequencies coming from your power company, your smart meter, and devices in your home. So it's not just about the Wi-Fi. Even though removing the Wi-Fi will help, you still got the underlying problem with the EMF frequencies. So this is just a heads up for people who may have or may not have had an update to their internet or their cable. Whether you've had an upgrade or not, if you're getting sick inside your home, you might want to look at your frequencies inside your home. Now, I know everybody can't just go dark. I mean, you can't just go turn your power off and go dark. Even though I have thought about that, and I have many times I've thought about that. But I still have to have air conditioning, in my refrigerator, all that. Unless we just have a blackout to where everybody's forced to live in the dark, I don't see people doing that. So that's not what I'm recommending. But if you are getting sick inside your home and you've already removed your Wi-Fi, you might want to consider just turning the breaker off to your home on the days when you feel sick, and leave it off for a few minutes and then turn it back on, because turning the breaker off will disconnect the it has it works for me. It seemed like when I turned the breaker off for a while and then turned it back on, it seemed like the smog kind of moves out. So I think it might deactivate the higher frequencies for a while, but then it's going to come back. You know, it might come back the next day or whatever. But I know turning the breaker off at the main pole does help for a while. So just want to put that out there. And you do have to turn off the breaker at the pole. You can't just go around and unplug your electronics, because that's not going to help. You still got the source. You still got the radiation coming from your smart meter into your home. So you're going to have to turn the breaker off if you want to disconnect all of it. I know I've talked about this in one of my other videos, but this is important, so I wanted to just mention it again. Once again, just get the information out there and share this with people. If you hear about somebody just suddenly getting sick in their homes, just mention it to them. I mean, I know a lot of people don't believe that the 5G is dangerous. They don't believe that it'll make them sick, but it's okay to just mention it. You know, do you have Wi-Fi, or do you have, you know, are you having smog inside your home, or you have or smells inside you? I know some people say they smell like their home smells like hot wires burning. That's the same thing. That's a sign of the smog building up in your home, the hot wires. So that's all, folks. Just want to give people a heads up about it, and maybe we can talk more about it later. I love you guys. Bye.